Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new syllabus of a new episode of strategic planning of branding. In this chapter and in this unit, we will be try to understand that what is strategic planning, why we do strategic planning in branding, what is brand, and what is the role of strategic planning in branding. So all these things will be tackled in this particular unit, and we will go one by one, step by step to all the definitions, and not only definitions, but a lot of example related to strategic planning and branding. So regarding brand, we have already spoken, and many of the lectures have happened about brands. And we know that we everyday life we use brands a lot, and brands are part and parcel of our lifestyle nowadays. But what is brand? How do they are they differentiated from different kind of products? How do we consider one product a brand and another product not a brand? So actually, it depends upon different companies because these products are from different companies and how these companies actually portray themselves. So maybe two products, maybe in physical qualities and in appearances, they might be same, but they might be carrying different values, and these values can be intangible values. These values can be some kind of, they could provide you some kind of identity, they could enhance your personality, and that is what we mean by brand. So brand actually eventually becomes part and parcel of our life, part and parcel of our personality. They become our identity at some point of time. They make each product very unique. Only brands make a product more than a physical entity, because it is what make a product very valuable, very desirable, and people want to buy this product. It is said that you cannot just sell a product like anything. Okay, you need to create an aura, a value around that product so that people can be interested in your product. Okay, and brand actually provides that kind of aura and that kind of value to a product. So that's why one product is more valuable and incomparable to the other product. So that is what brand, and we need that how much in this today's world, which is highly glamorized and capitalized. Here, the value of brand, all of us very well understand. Again, this making of brand is not sudden, and it doesn't take place instantly. It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of strategy to plan, to launch a brand, and not only launch but to take it sustain through many stages and make it a sustainable and identifiable brand. So it takes a lot of time. It's not an instant work that's suddenly a brand or a product is launched and it is converted into brand. So we need to do a planning, and that planning should be very strategical. Otherwise, one product, suppose one choose of Bata and Reebok, how are they different from each other? Both are brands, but they both of these brands have different values. And people who can actually identify with one brand, actually they think that it is this brand is the part of their extended personality. It is the value associated with this brand which make them incomparable. Okay, so a shoe which is from Bata and a shoe from which is from a Reebok, they may be important brand for two different consumers. So that is why strategic planning in making these brand valuable and generating appeal to the consumers is very much important. But strategic planning for branding have become all the more important in recent times. Why? Because in recent times we see that there is so much dynamism around audiences, and not only audiences, even in media. Audiences are now more active. They are not no more a passive audience, which are actually whatever is provided to them, they will accept it tacitly. They are very active. They are vocal. They are collaborative. They're interactive. They participate in the process of branding. They participate in the process of whole consumption and as well as manufacturing also. They have some demand and they want those demand to be fulfilled. And that is why branding or strategic planning is very much important, all the more important than this particular time. Because today buyers are much more demanding, and they have all the exposure of world market. They are no more remained confined to the local market or to the national or regional market. They have all the knowledge of all around the world, which that information and communication technology has made it possible. The world has become a global village, so that right now you cannot just whatever you are selling, you cannot just take it for granted that people will buy whatever you are saying. So you have to be believable, you have to understand needs of the people, and you have to understand what audience actually wants from a brand. So audiences, keeping in mind this changing environment where audiences are so much dynamic, we need to devise a way, we need to strategize our branding process. They cannot, also media is so much dynamic, and people are consuming so many types of media, and they are at the same time, they are available at many different platforms. So you cannot reach out to the people only at a single platform. You cannot segregate your advertisement or branding confined to only one a particular platform, because your active users are so much volatile there. They can be presented at multiple points, and they can have multiple point of contact also. They can actually go through traditional newspaper, and they can also listen to the FM radio in their cars, and they are surfing their social media all the time. In such circumstances, branding has to be done very, very strategically. It has to be done with a long-term vision. You cannot just do branding or just plan something for a short-term system, or for a short-term process. Okay, you have to understand that branding has to be done in such a manner that it would long last. It would remain in the mind of people for a long time. So that's why you need to devise certain ways by which you can do, or you can leave long lasting images or long lasting impact on the mind of the consumers. So first of all, what you need to understand, that you have to understand your market very well. And just like audiences, and just like media, even market is so much dynamic nowadays. Okay, so market has always been the key factor in deciding the course of brand. But nowadays, today's market is much more dynamic than the traditional market, which is, today we see that people are not buying from a particular shop. Like in a small town, they're going and they know that there is only one shop is available, and they are actually going and shopping from that shop. So today they are going to shopping malls, which are available even in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And there is a whole lot of brands in front of them. They can very easily compare the products in terms of prices, in terms of weights, in terms of appearances. So this has become so easy that people can actually sweep in a second from one brand to another. So you have got such a less time of attention, such a less time to grab the attention of the consumer. So you need to plan it so well that in market you do not lose the consumer. Even if your consumer comes prepared from home that okay, he or she will buy this brand, or he or she will try this particular brand, but after seeing so many products of different brands, they might change their mind. So what is there you are offering them which can retain them and which can convert their planning into decision? Okay, so that is also very important for us to understand. And in these pictures, you can see that how these shopping malls are everywhere. We are having these kind of shopping malls, and the market, the complete dynamics of market has changed. So you cannot ignore this dynamic. And the culture of supermarket and shopping malls has also changed the market used to operate earlier. Just like I told you that in stores and shopping malls, you have very easy to, you can compare things very easily. You have so many things around you as a consumer that it's very difficult for a brand to easily get attention. Okay, so that is why brand loyalty is there, and that is why brands try to create brand loyalty among consumers, so that even if there are so many temptations, the consumers must go for only that brand which he or she likes, and they do not change their loyalty towards anyone else. So that is very much important, and that happens eventually when your brand becomes well known, and the part of the personality of the person or consumer who is buying it. So the culture of mass marketing made it essential to understand the needs of the consumer. You cannot ignore the audience, you cannot ignore the consumer. You have to understand them, you have to understand their needs, you have to understand how their planning and decision are taken. So after knowing all these things and knowing the dynamics of the market, knowing the dynamics of the media, then only you can actually plan and move ahead with branding. So the traditional form of brand building, when a super product synonymous to the brand used to be launched, followed by its distribution and promotional activities, which would ultimately convert it into brand loyalty, is now defunct. Okay, so the traditional way of brand building is no more working, because here there is involvement of everyone in the branding. It's not that somebody has devised a plan and this plan has to be implicated, and the person who are distributors or retailers, they have no role to play. Nowadays, even distributors and retailers are very great players in establishment of a brand. So suppose you are going to a place and you are actually in a shopping mall, you decided to okay buy something, and retailer or someone salesman or sales girl, she influences you and tells you that please try this brand, this is very good, this is new, but it is comparably lesser in price, and you can always get a better result out of it. So they can, at the last moment of purchasing, they can influence your decision. And that's a great I would say that influence, because that can happen anytime. So you need to take into consideration all these people who are involved in the chain of this selling. Okay, so distributors, retailers, all are now players in the game of branding. Okay, so distributors brand are major problem of today's market, which provides cheaper alternatives of the branded products. Because you know that we have this example of Chinese product as alternative of branded products, and which is the biggest competitor of iPhones in the market, because iPhones say with the same features, you have cheaper phone, cheaper mobile phones available in the market, and people are buying it and people are satisfied. So we have very good example of such branding available in the form of Chinese products as alternative of branded products. We have people who buy Chinese mobile with the same features of iPhones at a much cheaper rate, and it is good for their pocket. They have aspirations to use all kinds of varieties and all kinds of facilities available in iPhones, but they cannot afford it. But Chinese phones, they can afford it, and that is good for not only for their pocket but also for their use. This market today is very, very dynamic, which needs to be understood before planning for branding, and you have to be very sensitive towards understanding this market. Again, we need to understand that how to design market-driven branding strategy. It is not that only by understanding market will not lead you towards anything. So next segment is designing market-driven branding strategy. So market-driven branding strategy is what we do after understanding the market, after understanding the role of market, demand of market, and different diversity of the market. Okay. So actually designing the brand strategy, the consumers as well as market must be taken into account. If a product of a famous brand is launched in the market, it should be taken care of that it is meaningfully different from the other similar product. Otherwise, the very beginning of branding would be flawed. Because if you are launching something and if you are saying that this product is unique and it will provide you so many things, so it must be different from already existing products or already existing brand. So what new element you are providing them, that's very important to understand. So we have so many example of such brands, like when Promise toothpaste came, it said that it's a toothpaste with clove oil, and that played very well, because clove oil is a gharelu nuska. It's a kind of nuska which our grandmas used. So we know that clove oil are very good for our teeth. And using it in a toothpaste, it brought the magic. And it brought the magic. It made Promise known for Promise toothpaste known for clove oil. And no one else could use this kind of technique and this kind of strategy for branding. So similarly, Close Up, it came with an idea that it's a toothpaste with a mouth freshener. So that's also a unique idea. So what new things you are bringing to the table? What are the new features you are introducing to the table? If you are same as somebody else, or something else, some else products, something else brand, then there is no point of talking about it. Brands should be launched and managed in such a way that they are proved to be a valuable asset, which can convert the consumers into brand loyal. Just like I said before, that brands should be launched, because when consumers are not brand loyal, there is so much distraction in the market. Market is dynamic today. Okay, you never know which point at what time the consumer will make a difference, make a decision to switch on to another brand. So if anyone is brand loyal and he or she knows that he or she will use only this particular brand and they cannot go beyond this brand, and they don't want to go beyond this brand, then only brands will have a long-term impact and they will have sustainability. So that is why brands should be launched and managed in such a way that they are proved to be a valuable asset. And that is, there should be extension of the personality of the consumer. Consumers should use the brand as if it is their own part, as if it is the part and parcel of their own existence. So that is what brand loyalty is, the ultimate thing which brands can achieve. If the cheaper alternative of a brand is available in the market, still the brand should emphasize on what it's different and how it's different and class apart from its cheaper alternative. It should always highlight that it has some value which its cheaper alternative is not providing you. Okay, it should highlight, it should reiterate it, and then only they can combat the menace of distribution brands. Okay, because this is very much problematic for the market, because right now you see that this distribution brands are actually hampering the course of other real brands which are available in the market and which want to establish themselves. So they have to make it emphasize all the time that how they are different and how they are class apart from the other cheaper brand must provide intangible values which with the product, such as pride, emotions, trust, without which the product can be copied by any other manufacturer and can be sold at cheaper rates. It is only these intangible values which create a difference between a branded good and its similar product, because these values are what appeal to the people. Okay, these emotional values, emotional connections, these last long. The trust, pride which the brand provides, it lasts long. So it will increase the loyalty, the sustainability of the brand, and it will provide an extra value and the feeling in the consumer. And these intangible values are what makes a brand a brand. So we need to now talk about brand strategy. So obviously, our topic of today is strategic planning of brand. So what kind of a strategy we can apply? So let us talk about how to involve the consumers. Now, involving the consumers is very important in today's world, because I told you in the initiation of this lecture that audiences are also very dynamic vis-a-vis market and media. So consumers of change atmosphere are very active participants. So all types of brands try to involve the consumers in branding process by adding them to their family and making them proud for it. You need to involve the consumers in your branding process, because consumers need to feel that they are part and parcel of this brand family, and they are treated as and they are given importance by this brand. And that is why involving the consumers in today's changing and dynamic market and media, as well as nature of consumer, is very important. Also, they are providing the consumers the financial benefit by accumulating points on their purchase and redeem these points after a certain period of time. Now, this is a very good strategy. Nowadays, we see that in shopping malls and all the brands are providing some kind of points on the purchase. And this provides value. And this make the consumer feel very important. They feel that they are part of the brand, and is giving the value to them. And brand is not only giving value to them, but brand is giving purchasing a value. Okay, so the relation of consumer and the brand is getting strengthened by each purchase, which is a very unique and good strategy nowadays. And people, they get they keep coming because they know that these points will add up, and after getting many points, they can buy something more. Okay, so this is one very good strategy to involve the consumers. Then, reducing the duration of advertising. This is also one strategy which is used, because we know that advertising is very important component of marketing mix for any product and brand. Advertising not only introduces the brand, rather it also maintains the recall value of the brand by frequently appearing on mass media. So that the recall value is very important, so that the brand remains at the top of the mind of the consumer. And when they go to buy, and when they make a decision to buy something, they do it with that recall value. And here the recall value plays a great role. So earlier, what happened that the ideal duration of an advertising commercial was 30 seconds, but now there is a strategy to reduce this time duration to 10 seconds, so that in the same price, the brand can not only be introduced, but also can be repeated 2 more times, thus maintaining the recall value too. So if brands are frequently repeating themselves within the same time and within the same price, that means the recall value will also increase, and it will be economical for the brand. So this would be much economical for the brand managers in case of fragmented media also, because today you don't have to cater to only one media. You don't have to just confine to one media. You can't plan like that. You have to be available and be visible in all types of media. So media is also fragmented. Audiences choice is also fragmented. So you have to reach out to audiences through all kinds of media available. So there, in that case, this reduction of duration of advertising will play a great role, and it will be helpful for branding companies. Now, community markets are also there. People's purchasing habits are changing. It depends upon their peer groups, their family habits, their ideology, and sometimes their social circles. People are health conscious. They like to eat organic foods. Now, many people, not only in other countries, but also in India, are converted into vegan. So they actually have different needs. They have different, they want different kind of markets. They wear natural clothes. They would prefer paper envelopes instead of polybags, and they can be very brand loyal, okay, because they have this need and they value their own emotions, their emotions towards being vegetarian, their emotion towards being organic and natural. So that leads them towards certain kind of special brand like Khadi, Fab India, organic market, okay. There are some feminist groups who only wear ethnic dresses and accessories to reinforce their personality, and this reinforcement is so much important that can always be played well by these brands, okay. There can be community markets set up for such community groups, and we have very good example of Delhi Heart as such kind of community market. And we need to understand the needs of these people, and we need to provide some variety in our brands to cater to these kind of people in community market. So we can also, it is very much needed, not only we can, but we should also involve the complete chain of marketing in branding, okay. Now branding cannot be isolated from marketing. You need to involve people who are there in marketing, since today's market is more dynamic and it has active participation of each component. No one could be left unattended in the marketing chain. It will be a huge mistake. It cannot work on the business to consumer model. Rather, brand manager will have to take into consideration the distributors and retailers too before reaching out to the end customer, because you never know who can influence whom. Okay, you know that sometimes even retailers can influence the consumer at the last minute, and he or she can recommend that what should they buy. And many times we have seen that consumers make their decision on the recommendation of the retailers as well. So you cannot afford to keep them out of the loop. Okay, so not only the consumers, but also the distributors and retailers should be convinced about the importance of brand. And they will talk about you only if they are convinced. If they know that you are good and you are doing some kind of great work, your brand is good, they will certainly convince other people and pass the message on. So that will be great relief for branding. So you have to involve the complete chain of marketing in branding process. Then creating brand inverse is also very important, because brands are made due to vision with strong emotional appeal and cultural roots. They are because people believe in them. People believe in brands. People believe in certain things. There are still some people who are so much brand loyal to Bata. Okay, there are elderly people who do not go anywhere, even if so many high brand and international brands have come to the supermarket. They are still loyal to Bata because they believe in them, because they have certain emotional appeal, attachment to the brand. They strive to become consumers' passion. So that's the reason that why brands strive to become consumers' passion, not only their preference. Consumer might prefer you, sometimes else they might prefer somebody else. So that's why if consumers are actually passionate towards a brand, then only brand would be successful. They try to create their own universe by giving the consumers an unforgettable experience. So if, and we have so many examples of international brands which are not only providing you goods, but they also provide you experience. uh, this is culmination of any brand, creating a brand universe. Okay, this is culmination of any brand. We have examples of Starbucks, Google, Amazon, which are creating such universe by providing experience to their consumers. Okay, so people love to go to Starbucks not only for their coffee but for the experience they provide. Similarly, we have Adidas, Google. People love their office environment. People love their services. People love the way they reach out to their consumers. So not only product, but they also make available spaces, places to relax and cherish the moment. So that's what is very much important in creating brand inverse. Then we cannot forget about brand architecture. Whenever a brand grows, it tends to improve its portfolio by launching new products, new brands, or increasing product lines. This is how a brand grows. Okay, brand cannot remain stagnant for a long time. And if it will be like that, then it will lose its charm, its visibility, its appeal. So it tends to improve its portfolio. It tends to add something new in its own product line. However, whenever they do so, they must keep it in mind that even with little variation, the product should be unique and should cater to the demand of the market. You cannot arbitrarily just launch a product without thinking that what new value it is bringing or adding to the basket. Okay, they should not overlap each other and cannot exploit the opportunities of the market. So if one company launches one more brand, it should be completely different from the other one. There should not be overlapping values. There should not be any kind of I would say that without any niche and with variation, no other brand should be added. So all these required good brand architecture. You need to plan, you need to think about it, that what is the need of the market, what people actually want, and what variation you can bring out in the brand. So brand extensions should be done arbitrarily without proper structuring and planning. Otherwise, it will lead to futile exercise. Without proper structuring or without proper planning, if you are launching any brand extension or you are launching any other brand, the whole exercise will go in vain. So there are two scholars who said that brand architecture specifies the role played by the brand and the relationship among brands in different product market brand context. As per the definition of brand architectures, there are two important aspects of architecture: roles played by the brands and product market context roles. So these two aspects are very important. Why? Because roles played by the brands, basically we need to understand that there are four roles which actually brands, which are actually highlighted by Kotler and Keller, which are flanker brands, cash cows, low-end entry, and high-end prestige. So flanker brands are those which are launched to counter the competitive brands and simultaneously protecting the core brand in retaining its position in the market. So these are the brands. We have example of Ariel and Surf as stiff competitors. Okay, so they have. We know that Procter and Gamble had started giving tough competition to Surf. Then Surf was compelled, and it just to counter the competition, it launched Surf Ultra to directly counter Ariel. Okay, so we know that these are flanker brands which are launched to counter the competitive brands, and simultaneously they also protect the core value and core brand, and they retain the position in the market. So these are one kind of brand role which brands play. Then another is cash cows. Cash cows are those brands which do not need much investment because they have brand loyal customers. So the parent brand can invest in other brands while taking advantage of the cash cows. So there are certain things which are already there and people are already attracted towards the brand, so they need not to invest much in a particular brand, but while they can actually invest in other brands. So these brands are called cash cows. Similarly, there are low end entry and high end prestige brands which are low priced and high priced brands respectively. So they provide a wide range to the parent brand portfolio. The low price brand can be used to attract the consumers, and once they are hooked, other high priced products could also be sold to them. We have very good example of McDonald's as a low end entry and high end prestige, because it has all range of products, some cheaper product which you cannot believe that you can buy a burger for such a cheap price, and they're advertising it also. They are saying aapke zamane mein baap ke zamane ke daam. Matlab, you cannot just imagine that you can buy one particular burger from a branded shop at such a cheap rate, but at the same time they have some products which are very costly and which are actually high price product. So they are making it available for everyone. So they are actually catering to the wide range of consumers at the same time, getting the benefit of and highlighting the benefit of lower price. So the high price items also are there in the menu, but they are not highlighting them. They're highlighting the low price products. Product market context roles are also there. So there are generally 4 types of roles explained by some of the scholars like Acker. That in product market context, endorser and sub-brand roles, benefit brands, co-brands, and drivers roles are there. The endorsers and sub-brand roles are also called flexible umbrella parent brand, where the point of reference is the parent brand and other sub-brands are endorsed and launched to improve the brand portfolio. We have the example of Procter and Gamble, which is an umbrella brand with sub-brands Ariel, Tide, uh, Pampers, etc., which itself, Ariel itself is a brand, Tide itself is a brand, Pampers itself is a brand, but they are under the umbrella brand Procter and Gamble. There are some benefits brands which offer some benefits to the customer with the products. For example, Lakme offers its nail paint with its colossal kajal. Then it would be called benefit brand. Okay, so both of them are actually getting benefited from each other. Then co-brands are those which collaborate with each other to offer the consumer benefit of other one. These could be two different brands or two brands of same organization. We have this example of a restaurant provides huge discount on the use of SBI Platinum cards. Then these two are can be said to be co-brands. The driver roles are assigned to those brands which are known by their single name and brand value, not by their sub brands such as LIC or ICICI Bank. Okay, so their own value and their own name is so big and they have such a big brand value that they can drive in this among these co-brands. So even these two, suppose LIC and some other company is actually doing co-branding, LIC can lead it because it can be into driver role because it has its own identity, much bigger brand identity than any other brand. So co-brands also exist and they can actually help each other. But there are two classification of brand architectures also, like house of brands and branded house. So the name House of Brands clearly says that there are various brands or services which are brought together under a single brand, yet they are separately equal to a brand. Means House of Brands means they all of them are brands, but they are brought under one roof. And we have this example of Procter and Gamble. Just now I have spoke about it also, that Procter and Gamble itself is a big brand, yet under its aegis, there are separate products which are themselves like brands, such as Ariel, Pampers, and Tide. All of them are brands, but they are also under the roof of Procter and Gamble. So other side, we have branded house, which has a dominance of the parent brand, which overshadows all its sub-brands. Like we have Tata Group. So all its products are known by the name of Tata, whether it is Tata Salt, Tata Tea, Tata Consultancy Services, Tata Nano. They don't have separate identities. They are dominated by the brand name Tata. Tata is an institutional name. It's a big brand. It's a parent brand, and the products it is launching. These products are sub brands, but they are not. They are overshadowed by the parent brand. So we can call Tata as example of branded house, while Procter and Gamble as an example of house of brands. So we have a classical example of branded house. It can be shown in this table. We have house of brands and branded house, product brand, source brand, line brand, range brand, makers brand, endorsing brand, flexible umbrella brand, and master brand. So this table makes it clear that how different variety of house of brands are there and how branded houses are there. We can have a case study also. There are many cases study, although where we can try to understand it by a case study. Although there are many case studies where we can see how strategically the brands improve their portfolio and gain profit. Two of these case studies I can present it in front of you. One is very unique case study, that is BMW and Louis Vuitton. In first glance, these two brands do not look closer to each other because both of them actually dealing with completely different kind of products. But among these two, one brand is car manufacturer and the other is designer. But they have something common or complementary to get benefited from each other. And what is that? That commonness is the business of travel. Both of them are engaged in the business of travel. One is car manufacturer BMW and luggage lines of Louis Vuitton. So both are traditionally established luxury brands with high credibility and craftsmanship. We all know that how big name BMW is and how Louis Vuitton is a big name, and both have such a great credibility with each other. And then they have this craftsmanship also. This makes their co-branding strategically possible. And we have example of advertising which came up when they actually collaborated as a co-brand. So as part of this strategy, BMW created a sports car, BMW i8, for which Louis Vuitton designed an exclusive set of 4 pieces of suitcase and bags, which could perfectly fit into the car's rear self. This was such a complementary strategy in terms of price, design, quality, and of course branding that the customers welcomed it overwhelmingly. And both the brands earned huge profit out of it. So two very credible brands, well-known brands of world, they are coming together and they are providing a one in a lifetime experience to their brand, to their lovers, to their loyals. Then certainly this was going to be loved by the people. So this was a unique exercise and unique experience and advertisement designed by these two co-brands, BMW i8 and Louis Vuitton. Then we have the second case of Levi's and Google. We know that innovation is the key to success. We could not guess that denim brand Levi's could any way collaborate with biggest search engine Google. Nobody knew that. Nobody thought about it. That how could Levi's and Google could get along? How can they collaborate? But when they did team up, it was unique and unthinkable. Means it was such a unique advertisement with which they came up. Levi's entered the wearable technology field with Google. It designed a denim jacket, which is interactive, made for the cyclist who can't answer to the phone calls while riding. This jacket allowed them to respond while riding without stopping themselves. So it was code-named as Project Jacquard, which allowed the commuters to answer their calls by only lightly tapping on or sweeping a sleeve on their jacket. They can easily access a map or switch on or change the music while riding without any danger. It is unarguably very innovative. So this collaboration was some kind of innovation. It was pleasure to see that how Google and Levi's came together to bring up such kind of experience and I could say that facility for the bikers or cyclists all over the world. And it actually people loved it. This kind of collaboration was an innovative collaboration. This was also one very important case study related to co-branding. Uh, Thank you. I hope you have got all the point of view and aspects of strategic planning in branding by attending this lecture. This is Archana Kumari, Assistant Professor, Department of Mass Communication and New Media, Central University of Jammu. Thank you.